the American dream. To his last breath, he'll always be a soldier.
Heard on great radio stations all across America. It's the National Defense with Randy Miller and Jerry Newberry.
The National Defense is made possible by Ford. Go further. By the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. By VSP. For more information on how VSP can help you and your corrective vision needs, visit VSP.com. By Morgan Stanley. Discover how they can help you achieve your long-term financial goals at morganstanley.com. By the Wounded Warrior Project. Serving those who've sacrificed for over 15 years. Online at woundedwarriorproject.org. By WD-40 Company. Wherever there's a job to be done, WD-40 brand offers solutions to help you live life hands-on. By Farmers Insurance. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. Find an agent at farmers.com. And by Gorilla Glue, makers of Gorilla Tape for the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
This is the National Defense. Randy Miller along with Jerry Newberry. As always, our dedication.
Hey, this show's for you, the men and women serving on active duty in the Guard and Reserves. It's for the millions of veterans out there, and it's for all their families. We're here for you. We love you. God bless you.
I got to tell you, this is such an honor, and I'll never watch this telephone again. And the fact that Dolly Parton is talking to us at this time of year.
Hi, Randy. How are you?
Hey, Dolly. How are you doing?
I'm good. Are you in Pigeon Forge now?
I am not in Pigeon Forge, but I grew up in Knoxville, so I got to believe that you and I are somehow related.
Well, who are you? Who's your people?
The Millers. The Millers were up there.
The Millers, yeah.
And they're still there, and that's when you were on a Caswalker Farm and Home Hour. And
you must be old.
Well, what was amazing to me is it's a grocery store owner with his own TV show.
I know, but he was doing so well. He had a chain of supermarkets over in Pennington Gap, Virginia, and a couple of places. But he was doing so well with his groceries that I guess he could afford, to buy some time and just put a little band together and to sell his groceries mostly. And he built some stars out of that too.
Oh man, did he? I mean, he had a kind of a cottage industry of musicians there. And, I mean, you were on there. There were so many.
Yeah, I know. There were some really big stars that came out of the Caswalker show. Actually, I think Don Gibson at one time had performed there. Carl and Pearl Butler, who became like one of the big duets out of country music.
Hard Candy Christmas is absolutely my favorite Christmas song of all time. It's just a great...
people really love that, and it's not really a Christmas song.
Well,
it's really
I know.
But I know, but it feels like it, though, and because it does say Christmas. But if you listen to the words, it's really not. But it's still, everybody loves that song. I still love singing that song as well.
Oh, it's a great song.
I'm glad they love that. And then Kenny's and my Christmas album, every year people play Kenny Rogers and me on. I'll be going somewhere. I'll be in Walgreens if I run in to get a tube of lipstick or something, and I'll hear Kenny and me this time of year, and it's a joyful time of year, and I just love being part of that and having my music out there too.
Oh, that's great. And as a guy from East Tennessee, Dolly, I just want to really just sincerely thank you for the telethon you did. You raised more than $9 million for the victims of the wildfires around Pigeon Forge and Sevierville, and it was just such a spur of the moment thing. And I talked to your manager Danny about it, and I think you had told them you got off tour and you said, I want to have this telethon next Friday, and he goes, what? We can't do it next Friday. You said, that's what I wanted to happen, and it happened.
Well, I really got a lot of credit for a lot of hard work by a lot of great people, and Danny Nozell being one of them. We used his whole facilities over there, and it was good for us because we had just finished our tour, so we had our lights, our sound, we had our band, we had everything together, and Danny's wonderful about being able to pull stuff together. So through Danny and then all the people at Dollywood, my Dollywood foundation, all the folk up there, they got together, and all the wonderful artists that just called to say, what can we do? What can we do? We got the best people making donations or volunteering their talent, and both, money and talent. Right. So I really had a lot of help on that, but we pulled it off, and we did a lot of good for a lot of people. And that was this time of year to talk about that spirit of giving is a wonderful thing. And now they're having all the wildfires in California, where I have homes out there, and I know a lot of my friends, Molly and a bunch of them, are putting together telethons for that as well. So when you're in a position to help, like the artist, you should help. And it gives you a good feeling, and it helps a lot of people.
Well, and speaking of help, Dolly, I want to thank you for the incredible support that you've always had for our military and our veterans and their families. You have never been ashamed to be patriotic. And you can just tell, you go to the Dixie Stampede, and every night they're thanking veterans. And it's just...
Oh, we do. I did an album years ago called For God and Country, where I did all these wonderful patriotic songs, some new ones that I had written as well. But so I did a lot of wonderful things. But I have many family members. A lot of my employees are ex-veterans, and we really appreciate everything that all of them do. Even our own people. I'm always thanking them personally. When we have like family gatherings, just to thank them too, because we appreciate it. But we want to thank all of our veterans all the time, everywhere, male and female, for all their service. Because look, we're enjoying these wonderful times and the safety and the peace that we have so far because of these wonderful people in the military. So, hey, guys, gals, everybody out there, thank you so much.
Amen. Yeah. Well, let's talk about this new movie on Netflix called Dumplin, and it has nothing to do with Cracker Barrel, I don't think. Right?
No, I don't think.
Okay.
This is one time we're not pushing Cracker Barrel. I'll probably go there and eat. I love Cracker Barrel, but we're excited about
it's a great story.
About this new... I know.
Oh, this is good. It's about
this Netflix.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, it's a plus-size teenage daughter of former beauty queen, starring Jennifer Aniston. You're the executive producer, and you wrote 6 new songs for the film, right?
No, I did not. That's a whole different Netflix thing. I did not executive produce this one at all. I'm not involved in this one in any way other than that I've written the songs for it and allowed them to use my music. Jennifer Aniston actually produced it, and she's starring in it. It's her production company. And I think Danny Nozell, my manager, has he worked with him some and has a production credit. But I did not want to be part of it, and I don't even have a cameo in it because it would be a little self-serving, because the story is about a little girl that's that's plus size, and the story is that she loved my music and my sayings, and she kind of built her confidence on that. And so this actually came from a best-selling book a few years ago, and then when Jennifer Aniston took it, and she starred in it as well. She's playing something different for her. She's playing more of a housewife, but a beautiful one that was an ex-beauty queen, and now she still has the pageant every year. And so all these beautiful little girls in the town, but her little daughter, Dumplin, that she affectionately calls Dumplin because she's always been overweight even since she was a baby.
Sure.
But the little girl wants to be part of the pageant, but her mother doesn't think that's possible. But the little girl and several other little misfits, they decide they're going to be. So based on my confidence building of my songs and my sayings, they all become like Dolly Parton fans. And so it's a cute, wonderful story that I was very flattered and humbled by, and they asked if I would do the music. So I've written the music for the movie. So this soundtrack, the Dumplin soundtrack, is a lot of new music for me. 6 new songs that I've written, and then they used a lot of older songs as well.
I love Girl in the Movies. What a great song that is. And what a perfect person to get behind something like this about accepting yourself as you are. I mean, you've always done your own thing, Dolly.
Yes, I have, and I've tried to always be true to myself. And that was one of the things that intrigued me about this little movie. I was touched that the girl that wrote it is named Julie Murphy, and it was, like I say, from my book, and she's a plus-size girl, too. And she had always really been a fan of mine, and she had thought, my sayings and my attitude and just the way that she said that I had, spent my life had inspired her. So she kind of wrote a book about that. And then the movie, of course, it really empowers these young girls. And it goes to show, and I hope people go away from this little movie and from these songs feeling better about themselves, because I tried to tailor-make all the songs, the new songs, based on the characters and the feel that I got and the feelings I had for these characters. And it really is about empowering and accepting yourself, because we don't all have to be supermodels to be beautiful, because some of the most beautiful women I've ever known don't know, their butt from a biscuit, as you know. But, it's about the quality of the person and who you are and how you feel and how you treat other people. So that's kind of what this is about, and it's a wonderful little story.
That's great. Well, you talk about an inspiration. Just as a personal thing, our daughter is a singer-songwriter in L.A. She just wrote and recorded a song called Nobody's Jolene. And she has just been
Nobody's Jolene.
I won't be. I'm not going to be. I won't be Nobody's Jolene. And I mean,
she's not going to steal somebody and home wreck somebody.
But she won't go along with it. So that's why she's nobody.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, we actually I have a Netflix show of my own where they're actually doing movies based on songs of mine, and Jolene is one of them.
Oh,
and,
wow.
We portray, with Julianne Hough is playing Jolene, and she made a beautiful Jolene, and we really give Jolene some redeeming qualities to say, you don't, I'm kind of the woman that owns the bar that kind of mentors her. And so I say, you're not doing yourself any favors going around stealing people's men. So we kind of give Jolene some redeeming qualities of why she does what she does and all that. So kind of like your daughter's song. Well, I wish her luck with that. Tell her that I send her my best.
I will.
I'm flattered that she's writing a new version of Jolene.
Well, she's always been a fan, as we all have, and I know you got to go, but I just want to thank you so much again for the time. Thank you for what you're doing for the military, and good luck with Dumplin and everything you do, Dolly. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for letting us promote our new soundtrack, Dumplin, on your show. And so I kind of feel like I'm military too. I try to put a lot of good things out there in America for people to enjoy, and I try to feel like I can entertain the families of our wonderful military families while they're away through the holidays. So let me be part of that, and thanks again to all of our military friends, and thanks to you for having me on.
Thank you, Dolly. Have a great Thanksgiving and a great holiday. Thank you.
You too. You too. Happy holidays all around. Bye-bye.
We'll be right back with the National Defense right after this word from Farmers Insurance. When you're dealing with life's ups and downs, it helps to know the ins and outs of insurance. Farmers Insurance has been sharing practical insurance knowledge for more than 89 years. At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. Find an agent at farmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Hi, this is Kelsey Grammer. When military service members head into battle, none are expected to face the enemy alone, but many return home and become isolated as they struggle with the visible and invisible wounds of war. It can be difficult knowing how to overcome that challenge and rekindle bonds similar to those formed in the military. Wounded Warrior Project supports these injured veterans through their recoveries by connecting them with fellow warriors and their communities. No one should fight this battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Make room for the new year, starting in the garage at the Store More Save More event, going on now at the Home Depot, where you'll find an HDX 5-level black and yellow shelf unit at a special buy of only $29.88. It'll hold up to 150 pounds per shelf, making quick work of a messy garage, all with very little work on your part. The Store More Save More event, going on now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through February 4th, available in-store and online while supplies last.
This portion of the National Defense is brought to you by Gorilla Glue, the makers of Gorilla Tape. Gorilla Tape has a tough, reinforced backing and is made with double-thick adhesive that grips to smooth, rough, and uneven surfaces. With a weather-resistant shell, Gorilla Tape can be used both indoors and out, which is perfect for applications in the field, including duck blinds, tree stands, and tent repairs. Gorilla Tape and Gorilla Glue for the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
We're standing guard with the truth. The National Defense.
Welcome back to the National Defense. It's Randy Miller. It's time for the Morgan Stanley Money Brief. And again with us this week, Kurt Nedenrip. He's a Morgan Stanley wealth advisor. You were talking about some action steps.
Yeah, absolutely. So last week we talked about building an emergency fund and the reasons for that, starting the first investment account and getting into a habit of lifelong investing. And the third one now is that many veterans will want to explore buying their first home to begin building equity. Now, that's going to depend on the duty station, personal considerations, local real estate market health, all of those kinds of things. But it can make sense for veterans to begin building equity through home ownership, but it's not a slam dunk. What we recommend is consult experienced professionals in your area, help you decide if that's the right thing for you.
Yeah, that's one of those things that, and we talk to a lot of transitioning veterans on the show all the time, and that may be one of the toughest things to get done.
Absolutely. I always feel through my military career that it was best to seek out the mentorship from senior officers and non-commissioned officers that you believe have demonstrated strong financial stewardship. Ask them about their thoughts for referrals on those local professionals, financial advisors, etc., that may have worked well with them. And when we do that, we maximize the resources available by considering VA loans, benefits such, military benefits, as well as private military and veterans assistance programs that are available in your area. There's a lot of them.
Well, and Kurt, you bring up a good point because those are changing all the time too, and they're constantly being adding and kind of some of these other resources that are just starting and forming. So it's best if you can get all of that information so you can make a really informed decision, right?
Absolutely. And the thing about asking others for advice and referrals to good professionals is that why make a mistake that somebody else has already learned from, and so use that experience and use that advice. And then the fourth action item is that
this is the one where you have to spend money on other people.
That's right. That's right. But sometimes we get focused on what we spend and not on what we save. Yeah. So advice can be very, very valuable. So the fourth one is that many veterans will have children-informed households at this stage in this military career. So the reason I suggest considering this as a financial planning item is that while children can be a great blessing, they're also one of the largest expenses that a parent can undertake. For example, a young couple that believes they're ready to have their first child but is also planning their exit from the military service may want to have their children while still covered by military health care. Those are the kinds of things that you might not think of as a financial planning item, but really it is. It's just so important that we have that health insurance coverage when you're having a child, and it will have a bigger financial impact than on how well a particular stock in your Roth IRA performed this year, for example. Yeah,
and let me just tell you, the children, giving money to the children, that never stops.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
We've actually got 5 action items. And the fifth one is so important, and that is invest in yourself.
I like it.
Yeah, while you're in the military, there are so many different opportunities. You can work to get your degree. You can work to increase your income through additional education. And one of the things that people often overlook is that they don't take advantage of every opportunity available by their branch. And that doesn't have to be an associate's or bachelor's degree.
Next week, we'll talk about action items to consider in the second key life stage. And we'll be back next week with a brand new Morgan Stanley Money Brief right here on the National Defense.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this broadcast are not necessarily those of Morgan Stanley Wealth Management or its affiliates, but are those of the presenters and their guests. The information presented is current as of the original date of this broadcast. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This radio program does not provide individually tailored advice. It has been prepared without regard to the individual financial circumstances and objectives of persons who receive it. The strategies discussed may not be suitable for all individuals. Morgan Stanley recommends that individuals independently evaluate particular strategies and encourages them to seek the advice of a financial advisor. The appropriateness of a particular strategy will depend on an individual's circumstances and objectives. Diversification does not assure a profit or protect loss in declining financial markets. Tax laws are complex and subject to change. Morgan Stanley, its affiliates, and Morgan Stanley and financial advisors do not provide tax or legal advice and are not fiduciaries under ERISA, the Internal Revenue Code, or otherwise, with respect to the services or activities described herein, except as otherwise provided in writing by Morgan Stanley and or as described at www.morganstanley.com/disclosures/DOL. Individuals are encouraged to consult their tax and legal advisors, A, before establishing a retirement plan or account, and B, regarding any potential tax, ERISA, and related consequences of any investments made under such plan or account. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC, member SIPC. This portion of the National Defense is brought to you by Gorilla Glue, the makers of Gorilla Tape. Gorilla Tape has a tough, reinforced backing and is made with double-thick adhesive that grips to smooth, rough, and uneven surfaces. With a weather-resistant shell, Gorilla Tape can be used both indoors and out, which is perfect for applications in the field, including duck blinds, tree stands, and tent repairs. Gorilla Tape and Gorilla Glue for the toughest jobs on planet Earth. Did you know WD-40 Company has a product to get the trusted WD-40 formula into hard-to-reach places? WD-40 Easy Reach has a permanently attached 8-inch flexible straw that makes it easy to keep equipment working properly by bending around parts and getting into tight spots to lubricate and prevent rust. Pick up a can at Walmart, Home Depot, or AutoZone and learn more about this and other WD-40 brand products at WD-40.com.
Hi, this is Clint Eastwood. As a veteran myself, I know how important it is to let you know just how much our country owes the men and women who wear the uniform, and to let you know how much we appreciate and support you. It's a sacrifice that's less than 1% of Americans make, and we understand just what the sacrifice means to you and your families. Thank you for your service, and know that we're thinking about you. And I know what you're thinking. Did he hire 6? No, that's... I actually got one up there. Thanks, everybody.
Welcome back to the National Defense. Randy Miller and Jerry Newberry, and we love the Wounded Warrior Project.
The work continues.
The work continues. The mission continues, and we are joined with Tom Kastner. He's the VP for Financial Wellness at the Wounded Warrior Project. Tom, how are you doing?
I'm doing quite well this morning. How are you?
Good. Thank you for
Good to be here.
Taking the time. And I know that you guys... You cover a lot of bases in terms of financial situations for the Warriors. But if we can, let's start with the VA claims, because that is such an important part of any military situation.
Yeah, so our claims team is actually the largest team within financial wellness, and their really sole purpose is to work with members, registered members of the Warriors team, to process legitimate claims so that the Warriors can get the benefits for which they're entitled. And, I use the word legitimate with purpose because, our guys spend a lot of time, our guys and gals spend a lot of time with the Warriors on a personal level, helping them gather the right documents, the right kinds of evidence, and we enter into a very candid conversation with them to process claims with a very high likelihood of approval. So what we're trying to do is just make sure that Warriors have a relatively understandable and easy path to file claims to get the benefits for which they're entitled, and when we just work with them to make that happen. And we have a pretty high success rate in doing so.
And when the opposite occurs with a claim, that leads to frustration for the veteran. I don't want to call them frivolous claims, but, if there's not enough evidence provided up front, then that...
And somebody to recognize that.
Then the claim is denied, and then there's appeals, and the things just drag on, and then the veteran just doesn't want anything to do with VA anymore. So, and it's...
Yeah, I mean, the appeals process can drag on for months, years, and so we do our legitimate best up front to just be very open and transparent on the issues that the veteran wants to file. And if we don't think that there's enough evidence, substantial evidence based on experience, based on policy and law, to have a high likelihood of success for filing that issue, then we just tell the lawyer up front, this is probably going to be a problem. And we try to set the conditions and the expectations prior to filing the claim so that we can minimize the potential. There's still going to be frustration,
right,
but we can minimize to a large extent this backlash and this frustration that a veteran might have at not being having a certain issue within a claim approved.
Exactly. And it's so important that veterans seeking to file a claim do it with someone who's been certified, if you will, by the VA, like your service officers, because the laws, there's so many laws as they pertain to veterans' claims, it's very confusing if you try to do it yourself.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the rules book is pretty thick. And, the benefits team actually has done a very nice thing here on Wounded Warrior Projects. The benefits training team has taken a very thick manual, which is the CFR, the federal regulations surrounding all the veterans claims process, the appeals, and the like, and they've kind of condensed that down into two sections of online learning that our service officers are required to do every year. So there's a constant refresh on not only the current policy and law, but the changes that come each year out of the VA. It's a large organization, so you have to expect that those things are going to change. And you're absolutely right. Being credentialed, it talks directly to credibility, and we want to make sure that the Warriors can trust our service officers to know the policy and the law so they can represent them in the best way possible when filing claims.
Yeah, and Tom, let's talk about your background a little bit. First of all, thank you for your service. You graduated from West Point, served more than 30 years active duty, correct?
I served right on the nose 30 years.
Wow.
I retired in end of May in 2012. I did graduate from West Point, a wonderful experience. And, serving was just something I wanted to do. And I served in a couple capacities. Early career was as an infantry officer, and then about a third of the way through my career, I transitioned into the operations research analysis world, and that's how I kind of finished up to get to 30 years.
Well, how about the Army-Navy game?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Philadelphia with members of my family. Yeah, third year in a row. So I guess I got to keep going because we've won 3 years in a row. So maybe there's But there are probably a lot of people who are going to say that.
Right.
After losing 14 years in a row, I think it's only right that Army tries to level this a little bit. But...
Oh, absolutely. I had to listen to so much stuff for all those years that I just
yeah. I don't have a whole lot of confidence, however, that Army will be able to replicate what Navy did. But I'll take 1 year at a time.
Right.
We'll take one year at a time.
That's right. Hey, Tom, let's talk about the Warriors to Work program that you guys have. When did that start, and what? Tell us all about that.
Well, so Warriors to Work has been a little bit of an evolution. I'm 4.5 months in the chair here as the Financial Wellness Vice President. In that time, I've learned the Warriors to Work program, I think, has a history of coaching and prepping warriors for all the activities and tasks associated with interviews, meeting employers, and most of our efforts in recent years have been focused on that role and that function, and is the coaching and the prep. A few years back, the Wounded Warrior Project had something called the TRACK program, which was a year-long program where we would take warriors and we would do everything necessary to prepare them, coach them. They get some education along the way with the promise of landing good employment. That program was really not sustainable. And it wasn't really hitting the sweet spot on maximizing our contact with warriors who were really looking for employment. So this year, since I've gotten here, we've kind of changed the mindset a little bit to focus more on direct placements versus indirect placements with warriors. And what that means is, rather than I bring you in the room and we coach you, we write your resume, we help you do all that and say, okay, let me know when you get your job, we are creating partnerships with small and medium companies and forcing the handshake, and it really begins with the warrior specialist, because the Warriors to Work specialists, they're getting to know the warriors better. They know what their skill sets are. They help them with all that coaching and transition, but we follow through now. We've set some goals, pretty aggressive goals, between now and the year 2022 to increase the percentage of direct placement with some of these small companies in jobs that can promise growth, development, and the overall financial empowerment that we're seeking.
I know several years ago the employment numbers were rather dismal for veterans. What's that look like now?
So in the past 5 years, we've seen a 40% improvement on employment, which is impressive, dating back to 2014. And we're getting this from our warrior data in our warrior survey process. Currently, we're sitting at right about 12% of warriors that are registered who are looking for work, unemployed. we also provide guides and links to part-time as well as full-time employment. So we have a team of about 40 folks across the country, the Warriors to Work specialists, who, they work one-on-one with the Warriors to take them through this process. And we've made some strides, but in this year, I personally would like to see us create a few more lasting relationships with some companies. U-Haul comes to mind, and we're able to successfully work a grant for this year with Cognizant and CompTIA and the Foundation for Cognizant. They're an IT company. What they're going to help us do is teach certification courses for Warriors across the country with the promise that could lead to IT type of employment. So that's one of the sectors in the business area that we're focusing on in 2019.
Tom, I'm glad to hear you say small companies, because we talk to a lot of big companies on the program that have veteran programs, employment programs, and which is great. But sometimes those small companies need more help than the big companies.
Yeah, and they're the backbone of America.
Yeah, and they're also a place, where the veteran can really make an impact and make a difference and really kind of go up the ladder there, right?
Exactly, and I'm not saying large companies stay away. I think any company that has a sincere, committed effort to hire veterans and make add a little bit of flexibility in their HR processes and things like that. Now, I've heard some stories already about companies, small, medium, and large, where their HR processes are not yet ready to catch things in a resume that have not been probably adequately translated from military speak to civilian speak.
Yeah.
And for that reason, the resume kind of falls by the wayside. And, I would rather speak to functional managers in companies rather than HR officers at this point, because those are the folks who know the skill sets they like to have, and the men and women who are potentially coming to join their employment. While HR process has to exist, that's definitely necessary. I want functional managers to be able to grab a hold of the skill sets from these resumes, and that's where my focus has been.
Plain speak is don't need a bunch of HR weenies trying to decipher a resume from a
but to their credit, many companies are doing quite well doing this. The Disney Corporation, for example, has an amazing veterans organization, and that enterprise is reaping benefits for all veterans, not specifically Wounded Warrior Project registered veterans. And many companies, as you said, have set goals to hire so many veterans. So I see it as one of my main responsibilities is, for lack of a better word, vetting these companies to really find out how sincere and how committed they are to what it will take to hire the right warrior for the right job. And
on the other side of that, Tom, you're vetting them for the companies, but how impressive is it to a company that they've had this training through Wounded Warrior Project to show up and have that in front of them already? I mean, that's pretty impressive.
It is, and so we don't have a formal training process that we're sharing with all the companies. We're just bringing to the forefront.
Sure.
These are our concerns and the conditions that we'd like you to be sensitive to as we go through the hiring process, because this is the demographic of the warrior that we're bringing forward to you. We're not bringing necessarily MBAs and things like that to the forefront to work in the companies, and it's just a communication, right?
Sure.
Just understand our goal and work with us to achieve it.
Yeah. Wounded Warriors does such a tremendous job, and everything you guys do benefits our veterans, and congratulations on everything you do.
Yeah, and the other part of that is, have we had anybody from Wounded Warriors on that wasn't a great speaker?
No.
I mean, everybody is such a great representative.
He's Army. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I've had a lot of practice talking, I guess.
That's great. Well, Tom, listen, man, thank you for the time, and thank you for what you're doing and for all the service that Wounded Warriors is doing.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Jerry and Randy, and I'm very proud of joining this team. It's been a little bit of a journey for me after what I think this is my fourth or fifth job in 6 years since retiring in 2012. So divine intervention brought me here. I'm very proud and happy to be working with folks, a great team, and it's honoring, empowering warriors, and we all share that mission each and every day.
And it sounds like a great fit, man. Thank you so much. Have a great Christmas.
You as well. Merry Christmas to all.
We'll be right back with the National Defense right after this word from Farmers Insurance. When you're dealing with life's ups and downs, it helps to know the ins and outs of insurance. Farmers Insurance has been sharing practical insurance knowledge for more than 89 years. At Farmers, we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. Find an agent at farmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
How do you thank the millions of men and women who have fought so bravely for our country over the years? At the Home Depot, we think it takes more than words. We believe the best way to show gratitude is to do gratitude. The Home Depot Foundation is committed to veterans and their families, improving their homes and their lives. Since 2011, we've invested $160 million to veteran causes and impacted over 26,000 veteran homes. By 2020, we'll grow that investment to $250 million. From simple wheelchair ramps to complete home makeovers, transitional housing, community support, we consider it a duty and a privilege to serve senior, wounded, and homeless veterans the best ways we know how. After all they've given us, it's the least we could do. $250 million by 2020. Doing more for veterans. Doing gratitude. The Home Depot. More saving. More doing.
Did you know WD-40 Company offers more than just a blue and yellow can? There's a line of high-performance WD-40 brand products developed for professionals that include degreasers, penetrants, and greases. The WD-40 Specialist Greases line includes a multi-purpose grease, a high-temperature grease, an extreme pressure grease, and a marine-grade water-resistant grease. The products are interchangeable with each other so they won't cause cross-contamination issues that compromise performance and effectiveness. Pick up a can at Home Depot and learn more about these and other WD-40 brand products at WD-40Specialist.com.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
All right, welcome to F-150 Radio. Today, the new 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar. We got Dean.
Hey, so Ford F-150 engineers are raising the bar, but I'm all about lowering the bar. Like I only brush my teeth on Monday.
Really?
Saves time.
Nice. The new Ford F-150 lineup raises the bar because, once again, it's number 1 in towing, payload, and torque.
I watch VHS tapes and never rewind.
And F-150 raises the bar with advanced thinking like a more powerful engine lineup and available EcoBoost engine technology.
I got a camcorder, a big one.
F-150 has available pre-collision assist with pedestrian detection. This truck can help make you more competent at everything.
Competent schmompetent.
Okay. This is the new 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar.
When properly configured, class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR based on Ford segmentation.
We're standing guard with the truth. The National Defense.
Welcome back to the National Defense. It's Randy Miller, and it's time for Eye Insights with VSP Vision. And they have been saving the big guns for right now. We're going to talk to Dr. Josh Baker, and he's the dean of the Arizona College of Optometry, but was also served as the chief of optometry service at the U.S. Army Health Clinic in Stuttgart. He's an Army major, received a Bronze Star. Major, what an honor to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And I know you got the answers to all of these questions, because every time we have somebody on from VSP, I know we all just learn so much. So let's talk about red eyes. And not just my red eyes, but so do certain eye conditions cause red eye?
Yes. So there's quite a few conditions. Probably the ones we think about most are like the conjunctivitis, or what a lot of people will call pink eye.
Yeah.
But that pink eye kind of encompasses a lot of different things. Conjunctivitis, or what we would call pink eye, includes allergic conjunctivitis, like we were just talking about, but it also includes viral conjunctivitis, which is a red eye associated with a viral infection, the same types of infections that gives us a cold, or bacterial conjunctivitis as well. So
what solutions are there for red eye, Major?
It really just depends on what condition you're managing. For a lot of red eye, so we can get red eye by staring at the computer for too long, right? We call that computer vision syndrome. That can give us a sense of pressure and fatigue in the eyes, and that might just be, to manage that, we just tell you to lay off the computer for a little while, or give yourself breaks throughout the day. If we're talking about a red eye associated with pink eye, it's going to really depend on what type of pink eye we're talking about. With allergic conjunctivitis, we want to manage that type of red eye the same way we would manage our regular allergies. If we can avoid the allergen. So if it's pollen, that's kind of tough, right, unless you're not going to go outside. But if it's like pet dander or maybe your neighbor's cat, if you can avoid the cat, that might help out. For viral conjunctivitis, the big thing with viral conjunctivitis is just trying, one, to avoid it as much as possible because it's hyper contagious. And then once you do have it, trying to manage your symptoms because, and patients don't necessarily like to hear this, we really don't have a good way of managing viral conjunctivitis. It really kind of has to just burn its way out.
Oh, wow.
And so, you'll go to the eye doctors, or you'll go to your providers, and lots of times they'll give you a medication, but that medication may really just be to manage some kind of secondary symptoms or really for your own psyche to make you feel better. But the reality is, if we give you an antibiotic for viral conjunctivitis, the antibiotic doesn't do anything. It's not doing anything any more than an artificial tear would. So, viral can be a little bit tricky to manage in that regard. And then when you think about bacterial conjunctivitis, now that's a little more scary. That's certainly less common, but it can come with a lot more significant ramifications. That's something we're going to be a little more aggressive of. And the fortunate thing is we do have medications that we can treat bacterial conjunctivitis. But the vast majority of us that see pink eye, bacterial conjunctivitis is relatively rare.
Well, Dr. Baker, this is pretty exciting stuff that you guys have coming forward. Can you talk about the exciting news from VSP?
VSP is currently a vision carrier for hundreds of thousands through the Federal Dental and Vision Insurance Program, more commonly known as FedVIP. And now great news for military families and retirees. You'll be able to enroll in vision care coverage during federal benefit open season, which is November 12th through December 10th. Once enrolled, coverage will begin in January 2019. To do this, just visit choosevsp.com/TRICARE for more information.
So all they have to do is visit choosevsp.com/TRICARE for more information, correct?
Yes, sir.
We'll be back here next week with a brand new edition of Eye Insights with VSP Vision right here on the National Defense.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight?
Welcome to F-150 Radio, the new 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar. Dean, go.
I'm all about lowering the bar, like I only brush my teeth on Monday.
The new Ford F-150 lineup raises the bar by being number one in towing, payload, and torque. It can make you more capable.
Capable, schmapable.
The new 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar.
When properly configured, classes full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds GVW are based on Ford segmentation.
The Store More Save More event is going on now at the Home Depot, and it's the perfect time to get a handle on clutter. Even better, get an HDX 27-gallon storage tote, a special buy at just $8.98 each. They're tough, they're stackable, and each one can hold 75 pounds. That's some heavy-duty storage without the heavy-duty price. The Store More Save More event is going on now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid through February 4th, available in-store and online while supplies last.
We're standing guard with the truth. The National Defense.